What's going on, everybody? Average Player here. Requested to do a combo tutorial for Phantom Knights. Ooh, the lights are being a little weird. Um, in the deck profile. So, actually, we're just gonna get right into it. I'm not gonna explain anything. Like first hand, I'm just gonna go over combo. Second hand, I'm gonna do a second test hand. I'm gonna go over what happens when you get ashed or veilered or whatever in that instance. And also cards that you might want to side in and take out based off of certain strategies. I'm going to do that at the end of the video. Alright, because I do have my side deck with me. It's right here. See? So we're going to shuffle this deck. Alright, just do a little shuffle. And we're going to cut it like you would tournament setting. And then draw 5 like we're going first. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now this is actually a great hand. So you don't really have to waste your normal summon. I mean, unless you want to normal summon Cloak off rip. Basically, Cloak, special summon Tracker, and get into your Cherubini. And if you go into Cherubini at that point, basically baits out the Ash or whatever, so you can get E-Telly going off. Or you can activate E-Telly first because it doesn't really matter. You know, because you're still going to be able to normal summon, special summon, whatever. But if, say, they don't have Ash, we're going to go and do this combo as if they don't have Ash. E-Telly will be the first card you should activate. So E-Telly to special summon. Because we have that Tracker in our hand. We can't special summon Psychic Tracker. We could, but we're going to special summon Psychic Wielder. Okay? Because you have that Tracker in your hand, it can automatically special summon itself if you have a level 3, which is good. Alright, so you're going to go ahead and you're going to use the Tracker to special summon itself. And then since you have 2 level 3s on the field, link them away. For Cherubini. Alright. Use Cherubini's effect to dump a level 3. I would say normally you would dump your Graph off this, but you can't, so what you're going to do is you're going to dump the Phantom Knights of Ragged Gloves straight from your deck to the graveyard. Alright, since we're just doing random playtest hands, you know, I just go through the deck or whatever. Now you're going to use Graph, special summon it from your hand. There's no Cherubini points due, so when you do, you know, normal summon, or if you link off, you know, Graph could whatever, do what it needs to do. But you're going to normal summon your Cloak now. Alright. I would do this here, so it would be a little, you know, so your Graph could go off, getting out your Skarm, and that way you can have a Burning Abyss in your hand at the end of the turn, so you have a negation for it. So what I'd link it away for the Verte Anaconda right there. Graph effect to pop off to special summon your Skarm from your deck. And make sure Skarm is in the zone that Cherubini points to, so he saves himself from being destroyed. Or Cherubini saves Skarm from being destroyed, my bad. Alright, but we still have this effect Veil in our hand anyway. That's why we want to have that additional card off of Skarm to be able to use for Dragoon when we do go into it. But we're going to link the Skarm and the Cherubini away for the Rusty Bardiche. Alright, Skarm effect will activate at the end of the turn. Actually, when I was playing a turn, I forgot to use this, so I had no negates for Dragoon on one turn. I still ended up winning, but, you know. Alright, and you can use Rusty Bardiche's effect to dump one. In this case, you are going to dump the Phantom Knights Torn Skills, and it doesn't really matter what you set. You can set the Shade Brigadine. You can set the Rank Up Magic Force of the Fogblade. At this point, I know that I can't go into, you know, the Dark Requiem on my opponent's turn, so I will go ahead and set the Fogblade. Alright, so this is going to be a set Fogblade. I just dropped my Veiler. Alright. So this is the board we're sitting on real quick. So it's a pretty decent board for now. We still have more combo to do. So in your graveyard, I'd banish the Phantom Knights Ragged Gloves. Chain to the banishment to special summon Torn Scale, so that way, because it activates when an opponent's monster is banished, so it would chain, special summon itself out, and then, because they have to respond to this effect activating before this, so this will dump your trap to the graveyard. which is going to be sword. Alright, you always want to dump sword. I mean, you could dump fog blade, but that just gets rid of a negate. So, alright, and next we will then use the sword and banish that from the graveyard to target your Ancient Cloak, special summon your cloak. Alright, next you're gonna XC summon for Levier the Sea Dragon. Use Levier the Sea Dragon's effect to detach the cloak, target the gloves, special summon the gloves. Doesn't matter if it's in attack position or defense position or whatever, because it just special summons it. Next, you're going to use the Ancient Cloak's effect in your grave. You're going to banish it to add your Silent Boots. So, in this case, you're able to end on your Utopic Draco Future with another monster in your hand with Effect Veiler and another Set Negate and a Dragoon. So, this is a pretty good hand. Even if you wanted to, off of Silent Boots, you can still make, like, your... I'm forgetting his name, honestly. Break Sword, because it's a level 3 and it would trigger Bardiche effect to pop. But this is going first hand, so yeah. Now we're gonna use Silent Boots effect in hand. We control Phantom Knight monsters. So we're gonna special summon itself. All right. Next, we're gonna XC again for another Levier the Sea Dragon. Or if your opponent, could Ash Blossom you, Bamboozling Gossip Shadow is another option that you can most definitely go into. Then you can use Levier's effect, detach the boots, target the cloak, special summon itself. Alright, and now here's where you have multiple options. So now we're going to XC the Levier. In the Levier, if my card would want to go ahead and make number F-Zero Utopic Future, and then rank it up to F-Zero Utopic Draco Future. Alright, and this is why I say we have a few options here. Because you do have the boots in your graveyard to banish it to add another Fog Blade. Fog Blade is a not once per turn, flip that bitch over, and you're negating something. Alright. Or you can set your Shade Brigadine to special summon it, and then use Bardiche, Cloak, and Shade Brigadine to make your... Oh, you couldn't do that. I was going to say you could do that to make Appaloosa, but you wouldn't have enough monsters. Because you can't make him a Link 2. It would have to be these two, and then Appaloosa only have 2 negates. But at this point, you are going to banish them boots to probably add... the Fog Blade. At this point, it doesn't really matter. Your opponent's going to struggle. Okay? So, and at this point, you're going to set the Fog Blade. You're going to pass turn. Skarm's effect's going to activate, or not pass turn. You're going to pay 2,000 life points. You're going to dump your Red Ice Fusion, your Dark Magician, and your Red Ice Black Dragon. To make Dragoon. Then you're going to pass turn. And you're going to add the last Burning Abyss monster in your deck to your hand, which is going to be Seer. So, after you activate Skarm, which happens on the end phase to add Seer, this is how many negates you're going to have. So you have the Ancient Cloak. You could technically Ancient Cloak Bardiche before your end phase to make an Appaloosa with 2 negates. Because, or you have to do that before you use Vert's effect, because Vert only allows you to special summon before you use its effect. So, I'm going to say even if we do that, we'd have 2 negates of only monsters, and it'd be easy to swing over. So that's why we didn't do it. We have a negate of an Effect Veiler. We have 2 negates face down with Fog Blade. We have a Dragoon negate because we have the Seer in our hand to discard. And with Seer getting discarded, he can special summon, the Cherbini back from the graveyard. Yada, yada, yada. And then we have a negate in Utopic Draco Future for a monster. And not only does it negate, but it steals the monster. Alright, so that's the first hand. Alright, so that's the hand that we would do. That's the general combo. Say you don't get ashed or whatever. Next one is gonna happen where you get ashed. What happens? All right. So this is gonna be the before. Um, I go and talk about cards you would side in against whatever deck you might be playing against. You never know. All right. So we're gonna shuffle again. It's gonna be a real quick shuffle. Not gonna be anything too insane. Alright, and then we're going to cut again. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so not a very good hand. This isn't a very good hand, so I'm not going to try to display. I mean, it'd be going second hand, but you draw the Harpy's Feather Duster next. So let's shuffle again, and let's show what happens if you get ashed. That's basically a hand of, okay, I can normal summon the Sangan or set it. You destroy it, and I get to add my hand trap, but then you can't use that hand trap on your opponent's turn. It makes it dumb, awkward, because you don't play any other Link ones besides your Link Spider. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, a great hand. At this point, your opponent, the only thing your opponent really could ash is your Cherubini, but that still basically allows you to end on, Dragoons at this point. Because you got that Shade Brigandine, which you can set and then activate whenever. Because you don't have a trap in your graveyard, and you still got your negate, and you got Tsuchinoko, which can still special summon itself. So you might be able to do more than that, but we're going to try. So, in this hand, when you draw Junk Forward, and you're going first, the first thing you want to do is use Junk Forward's effect, special summon itself. Alright. And then you use Psychic Wielder, special summon itself. Your opponent at this point doesn't know what you're playing. Unless this is game 2, then they obviously know what you're playing. So they know that they could negate, say, Cherubini, so you can't get your Burning Abyss in the graveyard. They don't know if you have any more extenders in your hand at this point. So they would basically have to negate Cherubini, because if you don't have any extenders, it's going to hurt you a lot. If they don't negate Cherubini, then you're basically going off. As we already showed, one Cherubini leads to the whole play. So you're going to link these two away. Because, obviously you're going to go through your plays like normal. You don't know if your opponent has anything. You're going to summon the Cherubini. You're going to activate Cherubini's effect, and your opponent's going to ash. So his effect's negated. He can't send anything to the graveyard. That's only once per turn. Alright. We're going to set the Fog Blade and the Shade Brigandine face down at this point. We're going to activate Tsuchinoko. He's going to get discarded. Alright, and its effect when it's discarded is going to special summon itself. Okay, now at this point, you can link 3 and go and make your Rusty Bardiche, which would be an okay play. But the only bad thing about that is you don't have an additional Phantom Knight monster in your graveyard. Unless you are willing to somehow get rid of your Fog Blade. I mean, you could. So let's show what you can do at this point with that. So you can use Tsuchinoko, Cherubini to make Rusty Bardiche. Rusty Bardiche effect, because obviously they can't ash you now. They already used their ash on the Cherubini. You use Rusty Bardiche effect. You're gonna dump. At this point, because you don't have any Phantom Knight monsters in your graveyard, the next best thing to dump is Cloak. And then you're going to set yet another Fog Blade. Alright, but it's at this point that you're going to use Cloak's effect to banish itself. add to your hand. Because you still have a normal summon, you could add the Silent Boots to your hand to special summon, or you could use the Torn Scales to... I mean, the Torn Scales would be pretty pointless that you could add to your hand. That is a possibility. You can't add Ancient Cloak off Ancient Cloak, but so the next best thing would be to add your Silent Boots, you know, special summon itself out. And then you can use Silent Boots to add a trap so you can make sure you have a negate for Dragoon here. So, Silent Boots, add it to your hand, and then you're going to special summon it. Next, you're going to activate your Shade Brigandine because you got no traps in the graveyard. Special summon itself, and you're going to link these two away for your Blood Plant Verte Anaconda. And then you're going to use Boots effect to banish itself. And sometimes in this combo, you can use Boots to add the Shade Brigandine, but we drew it in the first hand. You know, it doesn't really matter. It still helps. It's a monster. Say your opponent asked you on the Cherubini. It still helps you. And this can allow you to get, say, you can get a Fog Blade to your hand, which you'd be more incentivized to set it, or the Sword. I'd add the Sword to my hand at this point, since you do already have 2 set Fog Blades for your opponent to deal with. That Sword, you get into the graveyard, it's going to help out tons, especially if your opponent can't get over your Rusty Bardiche, or now when you're going to activate Verte Anaconda's effect to send the cards to the graveyard. Like Red Eyes Fusion, Red Eyes Black Dragon, and Dark Magician to make Dragoon. If your opponent can't get over that, your Sword's in the graveyard, you can use Rusty Bardiche's effect again on the next turn. So I'm actually going to show it with a follow-up play if your opponent can't get... If your opponent doesn't do any... If your opponent gets negated by the Dragoon, and you don't have to use any Fog Blades. So we're going to cut this to simulate that we let the opponent cut and the opponent's going. So we use Dragoon's effect to discard negate. Alright, now the game state here. You know, you got your Dragoon, Verte Anaconda, Rusty Bardiche. Dragoon's at 4K. You got the Sword in the graveyard. Draw for turn. Perfect top deck, actually. At this point, if your opponent tries to ash you, which they could off of Rusty Bardiche, but you can just negate it with Dragoon. They don't know what you drew. But that'd probably be the best play, is to try to activate Ash and bait out the Dragoon. Honestly, so I'd activate Rusty Bardiche's effect here. Torn Scales is in my hand. They'll go and Ash it, and I'll chain Dragoon. Discard my Torn Scales, that way my Torn Scales in the graveyard. Or say they try to activate another card effect, like Effect Veiler, trying to target the Rusty Bardiche or whatever. You know, to negate it, Torn Scales is still in the graveyard. And then I will send my second Cloak to the graveyard to set at this point you really can't make the Utopic Future, but you can go ahead and make your Dark Requiem on your opponent's turn. So your Makeup Magic Force is set. Alright, you're going to banish the Cloak, chain Torn Scales, special summon itself, and then you're going to add the Boots. Alright, so that's face down. Use Boots to special summon himself. XC, and this is the important part. If your opponent has cards on the field, you're going to XC summon here for your Dark Rebellion. And the reason why this is important, Rusty Bardiche will trigger to pop a card. And this is the board you can end on. You have no other targets for your Sword. You know, you could use Dark Rebellion here to detach the materials, or whatever, to target swing over things. Or you can use Dragoon just to generally pop, destroy 2, they take the burn damage. Next turn, you can activate the Rank Up Magic Force to summon the Dark Requiem right to his own Rusty Bardiche. Points 2, counts as a special summon, or counts as an XC summon, and also blow up a card. Alright, so those are the 2 main combos. Not the 2 main combos, that's what happens in the differences. between you getting ashed in this deck, Veiler is the same thing as Ash Blossom when you get hit by it, because it's a whole bunch of monster effects. So a Veiler can literally just ash you the same, or hit you the same as an Ash Blossom. So in this deck, I at the end of the video, which is now, I told you guys that I would tell you what cards to take out and side in based off of certain matchups. Alright, so we're not going to touch the extra deck for siding. Alright, so the cards you want to take out when siding, you could take out your 3 Forbidden Chalices. Alright, if you wanted to, change them out for Solemn Judgments. If you're playing a deck like Dinosaurs or Drytrons, that hurts them. It does a lot of damage. Or any, like Paleo Frogs, this demolishes Paleo Frogs, or Subtears, or anything like that that has trap effects. The next card would be the next card you take out is your 2 Effect Veiler. You can take out the Effect Veiler for virtually anything. So this is the main card I generally was siding out yesterday at tournament. At one point I sided out the Effect Veiler for 2 Judgment against Paleo Frogs, and I saw the Judgment and I ended up winning because of Judgment. I was playing against another deck. I was playing against was Dinos. Against Dinos, I sided in 2 Nibiru, and I took out the Veilers. I also took out the Harpy's Feather Duster and traded it in for Raigeki. So, or in that point, you can just change it out for, Lightning Storm or whatever. Even if you don't put in Nibiru there or the Raigeki, you can just put in Gamshiel. It gets over UCT. In the Drytron matchup, I'd take out the 2 Effect Veiler, and then I'd also take out Harpy's Feather Duster to play the Droll and Lockbird, because this will screw them over. Nibiru, not really. Because you keep Ash in your deck, Ash hurts anything, unless you're playing against, it hurts Subtears, but I guess they can still Fiendish you, so it doesn't really matter at that point. So, anyway, if you guys want, I can also show you a deck profile, a combo video, without being able to do Degenerosity, Vert, and Dragoon, because, broke. Dragoon should have gotten banned. What the hell are you doing, Konami? Alright, again, if you guys like the video, drop a like, comment, subscribe if you want more. And also, leave me feedback. It helps everybody out. And it keeps everybody in touch. And, not only that, it makes everybody better at the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! See ya!